The national economy has experienced record growth over the last decade. The stock market is booming, manufacturing is on the rise, unemployment is at a 50-year low, and the latest GDP statistics were ahead of forecasts. Has North Attleboro felt the benefits of this growth? We'll find out on this edition of North TV Reports, the present and future North Attleboro economy. Hi, I'm North TV Government Channel Coordinator Kevin Daggett. Over the next half hour, we'll explore the impact the addition of a full-time economic development coordinator is having, the ramifications of the switch to a dual tax rate, expectations for new housing at 21 East Street, downtown revitalization, and the status of the mall.
We're fortunate enough, we service 16 different communities from Seekonk to Franklin. And we've noticed that the communities that do hire an individual for just the economic development are a few steps ahead than the other communities.
Adding the economic development coordinator has allowed businesses to have a single point of contact with the town, whether they have questions or concerns related to any actions taken by the town.
The creation of that particular position has been very beneficial for me. In me particularly, only because I don't have the time to chase down every item that may come across our desk for potential economic development. So having someone that I can defer something to or hand off to someone to follow up and then get back to me, it's really been very beneficial.
When you're reactionary, you sometimes kick yourself. Oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I'd prepared better. I wish I'd done that. So to have somebody in charge of it. Also, Lyle Perney, I think there's a lot of research that's been done last couple of years preparing everybody. I know our involvement with the Downtown Associates in North Attleboro, we're preparing ourselves, looking into doing events maybe.
It's also allowed someone to spend 100% of his time on economic development and has been able to spend a great deal more time trying to attract businesses and also working with other local officials to make North Attleboro as attractive as possible to outside businesses.
In North Attleboro, you folks are very, very lucky to have Lyle Perney. Lyle actually did the job for a year and a half before he got appointed to it. But I've worked with Lyle over the years. He's got a great sphere of contacts all up and down the corridor. He brought the new housing secretary, Mike Keneally, down to do a tour of some of the places to see if we can file for more funding from the state. So when you have a dedicated individual that is just looking to work on economic development, that certainly is going to enhance the community that they live in.
It's, I think you need to understand that before I took the job full time, I did it along with another job in town hall, and I did the economic development piece voluntarily. So a couple of things have happened. Firstly, I've been able to get more deeply involved in things I didn't have the time to do before. Secondly, a large component of economic development in the state involves housing and affordable housing, and there are many, many programs in housing which we could take advantage of, grants and those sorts of things, that were not, because nobody has really had the responsibility of coordinating housing, especially affordable and inclusionary housing. So, for those two reasons, I would say that, the job has been a value add to the town.
It's big. If you look at it from the future of the town and the economy of the town, it's actually huge, because that's really what we need to do in order to sustain. The residents of the town were generous enough to give us an override and help us with where we were as far as being able to deliver services to them. But it's now incumbent upon us to continue the growth to try to maintain that and make it last as long as we can. And having economic development and growth in either housing or particularly industry and business, will be exceptionally helpful.
The mission's always been to bring people to the downtown area, but I think with some of the new developments and apartments and things like that, there will be more people downtown, so it'll be more about having things for them to do and places for them to go, whether that's a clothing store or entertainment or things like that.
The Emerald Square Mall is the town's largest taxpayer. The advent of online shopping has had a negative impact on the town's major retail outlet and similar properties across the country. That impact certainly has authorities concerned.
Well, the Emerald Square Mall, unfortunately, most malls around the country right now are suffering a little bit because of all the online sales.
We're in constant communications with mall officials. We've been working on a great deal of projects.
It's been one of those items that's been top of mind since I started here, and in fact I've made a couple of visits. I usually go down there once or twice a year.
Every time somebody comes in here, a business from outside of town or outside the state that has a retail bent to it, we suggest that they talk to the mall management as a place to set up their business.
Something that's been done in a couple of other spots around the country, and I believe Simon Properties did it to one of theirs out in the Midwest, is, for instance, a structure just like Emerald Square Mall is a 3-story. They take the 3rd story and they turned it into over 55 housing. Everything in this other facility is right there.
What's the next iteration of the mall? You know, is it time to look at maybe doing some residential as well as commercial spaces? And if you look at places like Hanover, the Hanover Mall, they're doing a huge project in Hanover. They're going to demolish the mall, and it's going to be mixed use. They're still going to have stores, but they're going to be open air, and they're going to be attached to condominium development that's going in there as well.
I think one of the things that Emerald Square is trying to do right now is to bring in like a doctor's offices, schools, business offices up on the 3rd floor. Because one of the challenges that every single community runs into is parking. And Emerald Square Mall has multitude of parking that goes unused 90% of the time. You know, the only time that you really see the Emerald Square Mall really packed is at Christmas time, during the holidays.
To the best of our knowledge, Simon Properties has no intention of closing it down. What they'd like to do is come up with a mix of industrial opportunities, back office operations, and retail that together make it a thriving concern.
Those are the conversations that we're having. Is it time to look at a new thought for the mall? Does it really have to be, you know, retail related, or is there potential for office space or housing? So there's a number of things that are out there that are brewing and kind of percolating.